Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. In this episode, I'm going to show you how I do 3D concept art using 3D scans that I get right from my phone. Stay tuned. Alright guys, so we are here in Blender with a library of 3D assets that I have scanned for quite a bit of time. This is mostly like mechanical props and vehicles that I found anywhere. And so the way I scan these, again, if you haven't watched my latest tutorial on the on 3D scanning, feel free to check that out if you don't know how to 3D scan with your phone. But all these models have been scanned in that particular way. Very easy to do. It's just a little bit of time consuming to get them prep and get them on Blender, but definitely worth it. And so what I want to do before I show you how to do the concept per se, I want to go through some of the things that I do for getting them ready and also how to use them. And what I'm going to do is I have another Blender file here open, and I am going to copy a couple of this just to show you a couple of things that I normally do, right? And so I'm just going to grab this one. And let's do maybe this one here, and we'll do this one, and we can always go back and get some more, but I'm gonna copy these. It's Control C, Control V, and when you do this, they're gonna come with the textures and everything, but for the most part, we're just gonna keep it like this. And one of the things that I like to do just to kind of explore is I can grab a item here. Let's maybe do this one. I'm going to move it to the cursor here, and I'm going to flip it. And one of the things that I like to do is go to my modifiers and add a simple deform and add a bend. Oops, this is not the active object, so it's probably doing it to this one here. So we're going to take this one out and make sure that we have the active object here. Simple deform, bend on the Z-axis, and I'm going to actually apply all transforms because, as you can see, it's bending it on the X-axis, and that's because we rotated it. So I'm just going to press Control A, all transforms, and now we got it. And I'm going to go 180 here. And so now I have this sort of like cylindrical detail that I can put on something maybe that's cylindrical, right? Maybe this could be on a bottom of on the bottom of a vehicle or something, or this could be the top of a tank or something like that, right? So you can see that I can get a couple options. I can even duplicate it, mirror on the Y-axis, and then have a full cylindrical element here that I can use as a base or something. So I use a lot of simple deforms, and I could do twists and sometimes taper and all that stuff. So this is one of the tools that I mainly use. So let's move this out of the way. Another one is, and let's try to use this one here. I'm going to move this to the cursor again. Another one is the Bisect tool. And the Bisect tool gets available on edit mode. So edit mode, I go to the knife Bisect tool. And what this does is if I go to the tools here, I turn on fill and clear outer. And this allows me to cut things. So if I want to get rid of this part here, I can click and drag the other way like this. And so now I can sort of clean up the model here a bit. And I have to select everything, right, in order to cut, or select the piece that I'm going to cut. And so I'm sort of like going with this around to get a nicer shape. Now, of course, the textures are not going to be perfect on the cut per se, but at least I get the major and medium shapes from the object, which is exactly what I want. And let's move this here. Now, the other thing, actually, let's move this to the side. Now, the other thing is I'm going to move this here. And let's say the Bisect tool, you know, you have a very complicated object like this one where it has all this stuff in here. And the Bisect tool might not be too great, or, you know, the piece is bigger, whatever the case may be. One of the things that you can do is I'm going to move this to the cursor. I'm going to create a cube, right? I'm going to use some booleans here. So I'm going to, let's move this Actually, I'm gonna delete these. I'm gonna go to the side view here. And let's say I just want sort of like the engine part of it, right? So maybe I can move this here. Move this part here. Right, so what I'm thinking here is I'm sort of like isolating the pieces or the piece that I want, right? In this case, I want this part here. So I can maybe move this a little bit here. And I could be really specific about this. So for example, I could go into edit mode here, make a cut here, and maybe extrude this a little bit, something like that, right? Get rid of that. And if I have pieces like this that are sort of like floating, that's really not a big deal because I'll show you a way that you can get rid of those very quickly. But once I get this, I'm gonna select all the objects and my the object that I want last, and I'm gonna press Control Shift and B for my bool tool shortcut, and I'm gonna go to difference. As you can see here, if I go to this object under modifiers, it has all these Booleans operations, each one for each cube, right? Another way that you can do this if you don't want to deal with this many cubes is that you actually select all the cubes and make them one object, Control J, and now you just do the Boolean operation again. So Control Shift B, difference, and this might give you a slightly weird result just because, and I don't like doing it this way, but sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. But because of the cubes are not really one object, you know, sometimes Booleans don't react well to that. So I usually keep it separate like this. It's really not that big of a deal. And so again, and so now that I have this, I can apply everything. And I can delete these cubes here. And what I like to do is if I have floating pieces like this, like sometimes I don't see them or they're just like somewhere else, I select what I want with L. So everything that's connected here gets selected, and I just go inverse selection, so Control I, and then just delete. And then it will delete everything else outside of this. And so now I get my little engine here. Now this piece here, I may not like it, so I can again do the same thing with the bool tool here. So maybe cut that out, right? Something like that. And now we have our piece. And this method here is what I use to extract parts from bigger pieces. So for example, this piece here, which is like a whole vehicle, you know, I was able to extract the seat, the front, and some other little pieces, right? That I'm able to use and sort of like keep bashing from this one big piece, right? And you can see certain groups that are getting, you know, this treatment in order to get more pieces out of it, right? And so this is a very nice, fun way to build up your kit, you know, from a couple of pieces and sort of multiply your library of kits. Now, the way I'm gonna build this, and I'll show you guys how I build the concept in a little time lapse, but I like to work in the center of the world, right? And so I liked to have a empty, empty plane. And if I'm gonna do any mirrors or anything like that, I can use this empty for that. And normally what I like to do is start copying. I like to create or at least have some sort of idea of what I'm going to create. So maybe I have like a VR sketch, which is actually in the full tutorial. I do like a VR sketch and then I import that in and then I sort of like use that as a reference. But if I have that already, then I can just start usually just bringing pieces in here. Maybe I can bring this and maybe this and this. I'm just going to bring a couple here just so you can see. And let's do this one here. And just again, copy, paste. And I'm gonna select all of them, Shift S selection to cursor. So now all of them are in the cursor or world origin. And so now, maybe this one, we'll bring it back. And so now I can start seeing things that I could maybe build up out of this. Now this is without a sketch, or I'm not really thinking what I'm making. But maybe I can start giving this one, maybe I'll do a modifier mirror and I'll add it to the empty. So now I'm using the mirror object for my empty. And I normally like to, you know, scale things up and move things around. So let's turn the lights here very quickly. And I can come back here, instead of see maybe other pieces that I can use. So Control C, let's bring that back. So I have these other pieces. Again, same process. This is going to be a very rinse and repeat sort of process. Sort of move things back. I'm gonna turn on some lights here, just so we can actually see what we're doing. And so this process is, again, very rinse and repeat. You know, I could add a simple deform, bend, Z, apply transforms. I'll do -90. Maybe I can put this in the front, like that. And then little by little, I just start sort of adding things and removing and sort of playing with the shape and the idea of what I'm building, right? But you know, normally I'll have a sketch, so I would know exactly what I'm building. And so this is a great way to, you know, conceptualize, you know, vehicles and props and stuff like that with a design already established with the kit. And so I will show you now what the concept looked like with the time lapse, and we'll be using the same sort of techniques building up that concept. Now, if you really like this content, I just want to let you know that I do have a Patreon where I share a lot of more information. I share tutorials, critiques, 3D kits, everything that I do on my daily work. And so if you're interested in that, feel free to check that out. And if you would like to support me in that way, I really, really appreciate it.
I'll take 'em and I'll make 'em mine. Don't get caught up in your feelings, just feel them, it's okay. You wanna cry, you wanna cry, you wanna cry, you wanna cry, okay. You wanna cry, you wanna cry, you wanna cry, you wanna cry.
Alright guys, so that's it for today's episode. Thank you guys so much for watching. Again, I have a full on with the commentary tutorial, including the 3D kit on my store and also on my Patreon this month, February. And so if you would like to support me that way, I really appreciate it. Again, if you have any questions, let me know in the comment section below. I will see you guys in the next video.